What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the in-game settings in Cold War after release. They have changed from the beta and things like that. So we're going to want to take a look and update these settings so that they're perfect. We're going to want you to have the highest FPS, the least amount of freezing, least amount of stutters, least amount of crashing, but with also the added benefit of being able to see and the visibility. The visibility is going to be very clear. In fact, some of these high settings actually make your visibility worse in this game. So we're going to go through in-depth in-game settings right this second here, and we're going to get right down to business. So let's do it. Over to your graphics settings here. To start, you're going to want to make sure that this is always on full screen. Just run it on full screen. Some people use full screen window, but you shouldn't. Use full screen. There's going to be input lag when you use full screen window. So you don't want any input lag. You want to reduce your input lag down to as little as possible when you're playing Call of Duty. Your refresh rate, you're going to want to have it on your monitor's refresh rate. Your gameplay VSync, you're going to want disabled. Your menu VSync, you're going to want disabled. VSync in general creates input lag. So once again, you're not going to want VSync on. What VSync essentially does is if you have a 120 hertz monitor and you're running the game at 80 FPS, it's going to drop your monitor's hertz to 80 FPS to 80 hertz to reduce screen tearing. But in this whole process creates a lot of input lag. So you're going to want to use the G-Sync that's on your monitor. If you don't have G-Sync on your monitor, you're just going to want to you're going to have to deal with no V-Sync, okay? And screen tearing, because V-Sync will cause way too much input lag, and it'll cause you to lose a lot of fights. nvidia reflex low latency enabled, boosted. This is going to also increase system latency and help increase your speed slightly. It'll increase the power draw from your GPU and create maybe a little bit more of an FPS boost. The display resolution 1920 by 1080. If you go 4K, you're going to see a drastic drop in frames, so don't go 4K. It's not worth it. Aspect ratio automatic. Obviously, if you have an amazing computer, you can go 4K, but colorblind modes, you're going to want to leave this off. Field of view, I play on 120. I would say you should play anywhere from 100 to 120. And you should always play on affected. Because of this, because of this whole situation, and I'm going to make a video about this too so you guys can fully understand, but when you have an affected field of view that's high, when you zoom in, your whole focus doesn't just zoom straight in on that direct area. So when you have it affected at a high field of view, you see a large area around where you're aiming. So you can easily flick to people, you can see more of what's going on, and it doesn't disrupt your mental state while you're playing in your flow. So I like to keep it on 120 affected. But also, if you do lower your field of view, you will have a slight increase in frames because you're rendering less image on the screen, obviously. So if you do have FPS problems, set this to like 100 or lower. Brightness, that's up to you. Frame rate limit, so you should just do whatever your monitor hertz is, but if you have G-Sync, you should do a custom frame rate, and you should make the frame rate a couple frames under the hertz of your monitor. So it's kind of a confusing situation. I don't really know how to explain it perfectly, but regardless, just put it a couple FPS underneath the hertz of your monitor. If you have a 60 hertz monitor, don't worry about it. Texture quality, you're going to want to do medium. So you're not going to have a crazy amount. I mean, if you're obviously lagging a lot with medium, switch it to low, but texture quality at medium really changes a lot in the game and makes it look a lot better. And I don't see a crazy FPS difference, so I would use medium. Model quality, you're going to want at low. HD game textures and models, I haven't even downloaded them yet because I don't use high texture quality, but if you use high texture quality, you'll have to download these. Special effects quality, you're going to want to put at medium. This will have a very light effect on your game, so don't worry about it too much. So you could throw that on medium. Screen space reflection, you're going to want disabled. Object view distance, you're going to want medium. This is going to help with the visibility. It's going to add a little bit of more of an FPS drop, but if that's a problem for you, just switch it back to low. Volumetric lighting, low. Shadow quality, low. And then all these shadows should be disabled, okay? The dynamic shadows, special effect shadows, weapon shadows, all shadows cause a lot of FPS drops, and lighting and things like that is a lot of where your FPS issues are coming from. So make sure all this is turned off. Ray tracing, have it all disabled if you have ray tracing in your settings. If you don't have an RTX GPU, you most likely don't have this in your settings. You might also have NVIDIA DLSS in your settings. So if you have an RTX graphics card, you'll have DLSS, and what it is it's a different type of anti-aliasing, which is it's based off of AI that figures out the highest possible frame rate at maximum graphics settings. You can use this. And I use this over anti-aliasing because it seems like it actually is creating a higher FPS boost. So if you do have an RTX graphics card, I would use this over anti-aliasing. And I personally put it on balanced, but if you're having FPS issues, you could go to ultra performance. And this will really boost your FPS a lot, because of this new technology that they got going on. But for me, since I have a pretty good computer, I'm going to put it on balanced. And balanced, you're going to get the best of both worlds. So that's kind of where I would say you should go if you have an average computer, is balanced or performance. But if you have a really bad computer, I would go ultra performance. And then ambient occlusion quality. So obviously, if you don't have NVIDIA DLSS, you'll have anti-aliasing quality. You're going to want it on completely off, or you're going to want it on with low, which would be SMA 1X, and SMA 1X looks good, in my opinion. It makes the game look better, and it doesn't really affect your FPS that much, so I would put it on SMA 1X, but if you're really having FPS issues, just completely turn it off. But I'm going to keep my NVIDIA DLSS on. So ambient occlusion quality, you're going to want this disabled. All motion blur should be disabled. Motion blur will cause a lot of lag. Subsurface scattering, you're going to want to disable that. Other independent transparency, you're going to want to set that to low. VRAM target usage target. So if you're having trouble running this game at high FPS, you can attempt to move this up to high 90%. What you're going to have to do in this case is not really have anything else going on your computer. If you have nothing else really going on your computer, you should be fine and you will see an increase. But if you have a lot of other things going on your computer at the moment and you use this, you might see some freezing and micro stutters and things like that. So I like to play it safe and keep it at 80%, especially because I'm streaming and things like that. So we're just going to keep that at 80%. But like I said, you could switch that to 90% if you wanted. So obviously, you're going to select your display adapter. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to apply all this. And then you're going to want to reset the shaders. So you're going to want to start the shaders again. So yeah, these are the settings I use to have the best visibility and the best FPS. The perfect medium, but also getting really good FPS. Like all these settings that we have a little bit up don't really affect your game to a crazy amount except for texture quality. So if you are having issues with FPS with these settings that I have, I would first try setting the texture quality to low and then go from there. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the subscribe button. Only 1% of you that watch my videos are subscribed. That's terrible. Please check out my stream. I'm live every day in the mornings on twitch.tv/Zac Adams TV. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.